All right. Thank you for tuning in. This is the podcast. We don't have a name yet, but last week we shot an episode and it turned out bad.
Technical difficulties. Always.
Of the highest kind. It's the worst. I listened to it. There was echoes. You guys were cutting out, and it was terrible. But
it's probably a good thing because it was terrible. So the audio was terrible to match what the podcast would have been.
I didn't think it was that bad, but
I thought it was beautiful.
I think you need to speak in the mic, or we're gonna have the same issue this week.
Is this good?
That's good. You want to bring it? You can bring it back towards you.
Okay, I'm not a professional podcaster.
You may need to take your hat off.
And you may not.
Oh, don't make me take my hat off.
You can bend it so it's not in your face.
There you go.
I can bend it.
Yeah. So if you bend it at the top, other side. Other side.
This thing?
You'll get it one day.
Boom. Something like that.
That's good.
It's still on my face. But now it's just directly in my line.
So you guys talked about some core basic introduction stuff last time. You talked about how you met when you first met. But I didn't get a big part of that conversation. And so I wanted to know if you remember when we first met. Johnny, do you remember? We've talked about this a couple times.
I remember.
Have you ever heard when we first met?
No, never heard the story.
We actually met long before he came here.
Really?
Yeah. Interestingly enough.
I met Philip Silva at camp meeting. What year? It's 2016, maybe?
Yeah, it was probably my first time that I ever went to camp meeting.
Yeah. So me, Phil, and
James and Sim. Where did we go?
We were at Wild Wings.
Yeah.
Downtown Greenville.
Yeah.
And so I remember, we were all just chilling there having a good time. And Phil was kind of a little bit reserved.
I was.
Yeah.
Super reserved.
I think James ate like 10,000 chicken tenders.
I'm sure you were up there too with chicken.
Was that the year that we went to Dave and Buster's and Carson won the giant bear?
Yeah.
Same year.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep. I remember that because we talked about parenting.
Yeah.
And that conversation always stuck with me.
Awesome.
Yeah. That stood out in my mind about because that's something that it's a weird thing, but I do think about parenting a lot. More than I probably should.
Isabella, mute the mic.
No, we talk about it all the time with a bunch of people as I think about what it would look like and what lessons I've learned over my life. But it's like I'm only 20 and I'm not going to have kids for like a long time. So there's points in my life where I look at myself and I go, you need to stop thinking about this as much as you do.
I was 22 when we had Caleb. And so what a baby.
When you had Caleb, do you wish you would have put more thought into parenting, or like you thought about it, you were stressed about it?
I was super stressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. 0 to 1 was really difficult. No kids to having kids. It was a rude awakening in our lives. We were not ready for that at all. We thought we were. We had talked about it, but
something that I've learned over the years is that that's a mutual thing.
Yeah.
Almost every parent, regardless of how much you prepare, you will never be prepared.
Never be prepared.
And I've learned that lesson. And I haven't learned
I say the same thing about marriage. The same thing about, honestly, let's get spiritual here. The same thing about your walk with Christ.
Yeah.
You think you're ready. People who say, one day I'll be ready to step into ministry. You think you're going to finally get to a place to where you'll be ready. But the truth is you're never ready, for any adventure in your life. You just got to, have a step of faith and actually do it and hold on tight.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Johnny?
No, I'm always unprepared, and
Johnny's like, I'm not ready for breakfast.
I fool myself a lot. But I have to talk myself up, I guess, because if I don't, I won't end up doing anything. So for me, I thought I knew I wanted full-time ministry, and then when I got into full-time ministry, I had no idea what I was doing, and basically had to just learn really quick. Still learning. I feel like I'm in the third percentile. I'm just moving slowly up.
Yeah, ministry is a tough animal, man. People who think they want full-time ministry and then they get involved in it, and you think when you become, full-time in ministry, you get paid to do ministry. You think that means you get paid to pray for people all day long, and you get paid to, preach the gospel and lead discipleship groups and all of those sorts of amazing things that come with ministry. But the truth is, most of our days are consumed with cleaning toilets and, making sure that the kingdom is equipped. People are equipped to be able to do ministry. I think that's what, Scripture calls us to do. Is our role is to equip the saints for ministry. So our role is to make sure that whenever they walk in on Sunday to lead worship, that they're equipped to do that, or walk into kids ministry, that they're equipped to do that. So our job here is oftentimes less about presenting the gospel like you would hope it would be, and becomes more about equipping other people to be able to do that on, other days through the week.
Yeah. I'm like a baby when it comes to all of it. And I don't even know if I made the conscious thing of like, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. I just kind of took it as like, this is definitely the next step that I need to take, and I'm figuring it out. Yeah. Yesterday, I was talking to Isabella on the way home, and last night I get home and it's weird for me, because usually on Wednesdays it's like you get home and then you kind of have a little bit to yourself. I got home, I ate, and went to sleep, man. And that's like, oh yeah, a lot of people are gonna hear that and be like, yeah, that's a normal like day or whatever. But for me, it's like I usually do have some time that to myself where I just kind of enjoy something, and I didn't have a desire to do anything but just lay down, just lay down, and but there's the part that feels super fulfilling that I'm like just now getting to experience for the first time. That's like, this is the most that I've ever been involved in anything, like period. Like work, like a group or anything, period. Where it's like your mind's just always thinking about how to make it better, or the next thing to do, or, all the different aspects of it. So,
and I tell people about ministry, our job isn't harder than anybody else's job or worse than anybody. It's just different.
Right.
It's just, there's things you'll never understand until you're here working for a few weeks, and then you're looking around going, wow, I am emotionally drained. I am physically drained. I'm mentally drained. How do I feel so drained whenever all I did was, worked on a video all day long, or whatever the situation may be. And it's like, truly ministry drains you in ways that it's hard to put into words and hard to explain to other people.
Yeah. I think one aspect of it, and I would love to know why you guys think that is. I think something that I've learned is that this isn't really a thing that you turn off. You don't get home and then someone texts you about something, or somebody's going through something. You never turn it off.
Never.
Where it's like you name a job. There's probably some that you don't as well, but this is in a different way where it's like your eternity's tied to it. There's other things that are like, you're going to be 90 years old and there's still some aspect of what you're doing here is lasting till that. So
yeah, you're having conversations with people here through the day, and then you get home at night and you're thinking about what you could have said, or what you should have said, or how that conversation is going to go tomorrow. And you're waking up in the morning and you're thinking about, the life that is, and honestly, everybody's call to you is to them the most valuable call that they're making for the day.
Yeah.
They're wanting to pour out their heart to you. They're wanting wisdom. They're wanting guidance. They're wanting your leadership. And so you're sitting there with every phone call being so important, and trying to be your best, and being, in that moment, hearing the voice of God and following the leading of the Holy Spirit. And it's taxing, man. It really is taxing in a different way. Again, everybody could sit here with their job and sit in this seat and tell us how taxing their job is, and all of us would never understand if we've never done their job.
Right.
But at the end of the day, there's a spiritual battle inside of ministry that is unlike any other job, that we get beat down and don't even see it happening.
Yeah.
Which is really strange.
Yeah. I think especially when there's those, no matter how much preparation you put in to different things, and it just is out of your hands a lot of the time. I think there's stuff like that where spiritual aspects of things that, a lot of places you could probably prepare to your best, and if it goes out, then somebody messed up. And there's stuff here where it's like you could prepare, and sometimes it's just there's something's going on spiritually, and you got to be ready for it. So I think that also adds to it,
And you're trying to inspire volunteers
Yeah, getting people on board. That's like you
how
can't. There's
hard
no
is that?
paycheck. There's no paycheck behind that.
Just
to buy in.
Yeah, like I just have to inspire you somehow to give me time of your week to do what's needed to be done to fulfill kingdom purpose.
Yeah, I think this is one of those things that I feel like if the culture isn't right, you physically start to see it manifest. Where it's like you could have when I worked at Adidas, the culture may have not been what I wanted, but I was getting paid. I didn't really care. Here it's like if somebody's not feeling what's going on, or doesn't agree with or something like that, there's no hold on them. There's nothing that kind of tells they can go to a different church and get Jesus.
Yeah.
There's no, like they could just leave. And so getting that buy-in is such a weird thing,
Yeah. I think for me, there is this idea of there's only so much time you're going to get to invest with the people that you're with. Like, especially like with youth ministry, it feels like, you, from the time they come in and from the time they leave, you only have, the 7 years, and then hopefully what you've placed inside of them will help them in the future. And then, inside of your ministry, we only have a certain amount of time until, if we pass away and go to our reward, or, the Lord comes back, we only have so much time. And so for me, one of the battles, that I face inside of ministry, and a lot of times what gets my mind ticking, is I know I only have so much time, and that's what keeps me in gear, and sometimes can make me, push a little too hard in moments.
Well, true story, man. One of the, and a little somber, a little like downer here, but 3 different services in a row, Sunday mornings, where I had 1 week, a guy came in and said he was getting ready to commit suicide on Saturday night. And he said, I told myself if I could just make it to church on Sunday morning, Pastor Jamie would give me a word that would give me hope, that would not make me feel the way I'm feeling. He's still thriving, doing really well today.
Awesome.
But the flip side is, had another situation where a young man came to church, was in church with us one Sunday, and Thursday committed suicide. And as a pastor, as a shepherd, my heart breaks. And I think to myself, what could I have said differently in that service? What could I have done differently in that moment? And then the third instance, we had a lady who acted right, dressed right, looked like life was put together. Incredible, just everything looked to be going well for her life. And I was preaching one day on hope, and she came up to me after church and she said, I've never told anybody this, not even my husband. She said, but every single day I battle thoughts of suicide. Dang. And it's amazing how, that's the pressure you live under.
Right.
That's the pressure when somebody walks into the office and, wants a piece of your time and you give it to them. You have no clue what the depth of their battle is.
Yeah.
So you're trying to inspire them and encourage them. And then you're carrying that whenever you aren't able to do it like you had hoped, to do it.
Right.
Yeah. I think, I think being a part of church for so long has kind of numbed me in areas where for some reason I've just learned that I can hear stuff and it doesn't really, I don't feel attached to it. But that's also because being a part of a family that like everything carries into their life. I think growing up, I learned to kind of hear something. And I think sometimes that hurts me where I should be feeling more in certain areas. And I've almost not trained myself, but subconsciously I'm just numb to a lot. And it's frustrating, because it's like you mentally want to feel so much more because there's that like passion of, and obviously it's like if somebody's going through something, not in that way, but those like deep things that you feel like you take home with you. I think I think because I've seen so many crazy things, I've just kind of gotten so, I was talking to Pastor Johnny and Pastor Sam the other day and at lunch, and I was telling them how when I was a kid, me and my cousins, is the most traumatizing thing ever is like me and my cousins would watch these exorcism like tapes of this. It was like in Brazil, he would go through these prisons and just like cast demons out of people. And this is like me and my cousin, like 8, 9 years old, just binge watching like it's a Netflix show. And it was you look back on it now, it's like if I walked in on my 9-year-old watching an exorcism, I'd taken him to church that second, and we're going to the altar and praying for him, you know? But it's like, I think of that. We used to like debunk these like different, like demonic music video, where like Kesha has like these different Illuminati things, and like, but we'd watch that as kids. And I think growing up in that is kind of just desensitizing. So what do you guys feel like growing up in church, you're desensitized to? Obviously there's like
end times for me.
Yeah.
You know, we watch the videos, the Left Behinds, every scary sermon that was ever preached. To me now, I don't want to talk about it. I want to live out, the life that God has given to me. And it's almost put a negative, barrier up in between me and that thought process. So definitely desensitized me.
That's funny. When I was a kid, that was another thing but that was a real fear that I had. That was an actual nightmare I had of the rapture. Yeah. Legit nightmares of, waking up in church, those naps you take.
Yeah, 100%.
Waking up and you just see clothes everywhere. And because
you saw it on a video, man. And it's, you're convinced that this is going to be you if you don't get your life right.
Yeah, the Brazilian Methodist church that I went to, there was a downstairs where we had big parties. And I remember falling asleep and everybody went to the party. And I wake up like upstairs and I'm like legit having a panic attack as a child. I didn't see the clothes though, so I figured that was good.
Yeah, I remember at the church I grew up in, they would have shout out to Dan Duncan. He's probably a little bit older now, 80s at Elmwood.
Dan don't know none about no podcast.
Shout out to you, Duncan. I know you're gonna see this one. Yeah.
Dan, if somebody knows Dan, tell him that Johnny gave him a shout out.
I'm about to rat on myself, so please don't tell him. I remember I would get so convicted during. He would come in and do like a study on Revelation for the youth group every year. It seemed like, and I would say, you know what, I've got a stomachache, I got to go to the bathroom. And I would literally sit in the stall in the bathroom for like 45 minutes until I heard people walking down the hallway so that I wouldn't have to deal with Jesus is coming back. And
that's called conviction. You should have dealt with it then.
That's right.
I didn't deal with it. And
Brother Duncan, can you call him, make sure he gets that conviction back? He needs it.
Sorry, brother.
Yeah, conviction on the toilet.
Yeah. Dad, don't tell him about this. I know you're going to probably tell him, please don't. I want him to think I'm the best person in the world.
I love how you still haven't fixed your mic. You just kind of gave up.
I don't know what to do with it.
Kind of gave up.
I'm just
like Talladega Nights. Like, I don't know what to do with my hands. That's how you feel with your mic?
Yeah, I don't know what to do.
So there's like 3 joints. The one up at the top is the one that I was telling you about.
I mean, it's basic physics right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never really.
Not that one. The other joint. Yup. That one.
And I can just.
And you could just bend that sucker.
Right to you.
There you go.
Can I bring it to you?
Yeah. Yeah, you can do it.
But we don't want to do that, right? Like this? Is that cool?
Yeah. If you're in the shot, you look fine, then you look fine.
Perfect. We'll keep it here for now.
Speaking about conviction on the toilet, did he tell you about the peppers that he just ate?
I'm sure I saw him come in with a bottle of water and sweat dripping off of his face. So how did that go? How did this come about? What is happening here?
So, as you know, whenever there's a video or an idea for content, Johnny's the first one to sell his body.
Correct.
Put it on the line.
Somebody's got to do it.
Whatever he's got to do. Almost to the point where every time we talk about making videos now, the first idea that comes out of Johnny's mouth is, well, I can suffer in this way.
I can do whatever.
And I'm like, there's more. There's more. But this one, it was a good one.
This one had a little, it made sense, I felt like.
Yeah.
At least for content wise.
Agreed.
And, we're making a parent tip video through Grow Curriculum for our church. And basically we were having to do this for our new series, and we were just thinking of a way to make it interesting. Well, the only way I could really think about making it interesting or making y'all laugh was to eat something super hot. So if you're listening to this, I really knew it was coming. I knew I was.
Oh,
about
you
to
gave
eat a
away
pepper.
the secret. So
Yeah.
this is like the behind the scenes.
this is behind the scenes.
It's like Dude Perfect does their
Right.
plus,
Yeah.
subscribe to that one
Yeah.
where you get to see the behind the scenes stuff.
Right.
This is the blooper reel, huh?
And this is for me not to
Did he
feel
tell-
bad.
that reminds me. Did he tell you about the last night when he's giving the message?
Yes.
Dude.
I'm getting ragged so
who
hard
says
right now.
blooper as a spoil? Those are two different things.
Two different things.
Two very different things.
So in case
He goes blooper.
you guys have no clue what he's talking about, my kids and I are watching through all of the Marvel movies in chronological
My
order.
family is too.
So
Yeah.
so we started back with Captain America. So that would have been the first one chronologically. So now we are at Avengers Infinity
War.
Infinity War.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Johnny chooses to show a clip of it, to which my daughters have never seen it.
Yeah, so he goes one step. He goes to Endgame, which
all
is
the way
like
to the very end.
to
Yeah.
end. Yeah. So like spoiler alert.
told me to do
actual
that.
spoiler alert
Yeah.
where Tony Stark
I'm listening.
dies.
Yeah.
Right. And
Like the spoiler alert of all
the biggest
spoiler
of
alerts.
the
Yes.
MCU.
I didn't even
If
say
you
that.
look at the biggest, if you look at the biggest movie you can think of, go one step further. The biggest movie universe you can think of, go one step further. The biggest climactic point of that universe. He chooses that moment and doesn't even give a proper. There's layers to this, right? He doesn't give a proper spoiler alert. He goes blooper alert, and he doesn't give Tony Stark the respect to where, as he's saying his final lines, respect to the moment, he goes, "I am Iron Man." He's interrupting him as he's saying it.
Okay, let's be
What?
honest here.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
It's like
okay.
blooper alert, and then he keeps going talking
Come
while Iron Man is saying his final line.
Okay, so I'm preaching, all right, and I'm just feeling a moment, and
Like
I honestly,
rest in peace, Iron Man.
Rest in
I
peace,
honestly didn't want, like, I could have even not shown it, but I knew we had put so much time into it, and I just wanted to play it for the students to see it. Honestly, I was just ready to get to just get into it, like the power punch kind of moment, because it was honestly one of
But
the,
it's the build, right?
It's the build.
The power punch only works because you've jabbed a few times. You know,
But it was almost like a dog on the scent of, like, on a trail, and you're just zooming. Like as soon as I played it, and I had it waiting for a second, but I just couldn't wait anymore. I was just going. But I mean, it turned out the kids laughed at me like usual. And
you should have just threw a pepper in your mouth at that point.
yeah. I mean, we had a great service too, which was awesome.
should just have
But I did say
bottle-
blooper. I did.
Just a can of peppers that you just, if you feel like it's ever going down during a message, you just pop a pepper in your
That's
mouth.
that Plan B we were talking about yesterday.
Or get like a small jacket, be like Tommy Boy, fat guy in a little coat.
Tommy Boy. You're gonna have to introduce.
Come
me.
on, man. Come on.
You know, I was born in '94, so
Jesus help us.
Speaking of, we were talking about movies the other day at lunch that Pastor hasn't seen.
Never seen them.
There's a lot more than I expected.
So I was raised where it was all sports all the time in my house. If it wasn't, it was General Hospital from my mother, or
I never heard of it.
General Hospital. It's like a soap opera.
Is it like House?
I don't know what House is.
You never watched
oh
House?
my goodness,
So good. What's another one? What's that one that everybody's watching now?
Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy.
It's kind of like Grey's
Grey's-
Anatomy. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Kind of like that. So we were big sports fans. So if sports was on, if we were in the house, it was ESPN or very few movies. I wasn't a huge movie guy. Got to college and I was kind of shocked at how, honestly, in college football and movies were the two things that I wasn't ready to be ready for.
right.
Everybody in college were huge college football fans from wherever they came from. And I was a Gamecocks fan, but wasn't like this huge over the top Gamecocks fan.
Right.
And then movies, everybody's quoting movies and have all their, favorite lines. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah. There's such rich pop culture in the 80s that when you said
And
it,
I was alive then and have no clue what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is. That makes me think though. I going back to the thinking about my kids too much. I oftentimes think about what kind of household that I would have in that aspect. Like, because I love sports, right? And then at the same time, I'm a huge movie guy, and so I don't know if one's gonna be dominant or not. I'd love to have one, be more dominant, but I don't know which.
So for us, obviously, with a boy and two girls, Maddie will watch sports as long as it's something that I'm actually interested in. If it's one of our favorite teams, she'll watch with me because she likes seeing me get frustrated at them losing. But pretty much at our house, if it's just me and Caleb, we're watching some version of ESPN. Maybe it's Peyton's Place or, something, a game or something like that. If the girls are there with us, normally they win the remote and it's
Frozen 2.
Yeah, or Kicking It. I mean, they're on a Kicking It. You know what that is?
No. Never
and it's like this.
Is that a Disney show?
Yeah, Disney show where they're like Karate Kids, and anyways, it's really cool and
Johnny, you know that,
cute.
Right?
And so
you know, Kicking It?
Yeah, so Kicking It and Lab Rats, things of that nature.
Lab Rats,
Lab Rats. Yeah. So
going back to the college football thing, that is something that I learned when I came down. I'm originally from Boston at like 7 years old. When I came down here, and I always went back and forth, but I always like kept my roots over there. That was a huge, weird thing to me, is that people didn't really care about professional sports here.
Yeah, it's college or die around here.
Yeah, it's really everything's college.
Yeah.
Is that like a Southern thing? Is that like a South Carolina? I've thought about it, and South Carolina makes sense because North Carolina sports. But in general, I just felt like it'd be at least more than, being in school and everybody has like college game days way bigger than like a Super Bowl or something like that.
Yeah, I think for us, we didn't have a professional team around us growing up. Yeah. The Panthers didn't get, I don't know, 90s maybe, late 80s, early 90s.
And even then, it's like they're in North Carolina.
Right. So they're still not a South Carolina team. So we choose Clemson, Carolina, and everybody's got an allegiance to that, and everybody talks about that, and that's just the way it is around here.
Yeah. So where do you guys stand? Are you guys opposing?
No, we're both Gamecocks fan. He married a Clemson
fan though. But see, I'm not like a diehard fan. I mean, I watch it. I watch sports when it's the playoff time. I watch it in the big games, and I watch when I want to see a lower seed team beat the upper seed team. But I don't carry out and watch the whole season. Really, that's not who I am. I just watch the best game that's on. But my team is South Carolina.
See, and I'm the opposite. I don't care what, if I don't know who the Super Bowl obviously is easy to watch, but any other NFL game is very difficult for me to watch when my favorite team's not playing.
Yeah.
Two best teams doesn't matter to me. I want to see my team.
I'm kind of like in between you guys. I'll watch it if it's a competitive game. I'll watch my team if they have a good roster. If they suck, then I almost make the conscious decision, like, hot in your face, I'm not going to watch it. You don't earn my time this year. But I'm kind of in
not to watch every game when it's South Carolina though right now for me. So
Tiger broke both his legs. Did you see that?
He told me something about Tiger's in the hospital or he got an accident.
I didn't know he
broke both of his legs.
Well, I don't know what the official report is. So this is the day after, just so you know, in case you're watching this.
Yeah.
I don't know what the official report is, but lower body injuries and multiple surgeries.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Rolled it. Did you see the picture of the car?
Yeah.
It was like the jaws of death to get him out.
But whoever it is, I think it's Hyundai Genesis or whatever, they did get some good publicity because the logo was like right on the side of the car. I think he has like a...
That's what you thought of when seeing a rolled car that they're pulling him out with the jaws. Yeah, man,
he's in the hospital.
Can you imagine if I'm thinking that? How many other people? No one. Just me. That's really what it is. There's no one else.
That's Blooper right there.
That's a blooper. You need to go pray.
No, but seriously, the way it was in the photo, it was like smashed and the logo.
There's a man that lost both of his legs potentially, Johnny.
No, he did not. Did he?
Oh, I'm sure if he did, he'd have like some
There's no way.
Nice prosthetic.
He would have some nice prosthetics.
That makes me, you ever see those pictures of those people who like, no disrespect to anybody with prosthetic legs, but it's almost like you get a enhancement when you have those like sprinter.
They have come so far.
Yeah, it's nuts.
In prosthetics. It is unbelievable.
It
like hands that can actually
do everything.
And it's amazing.
For some of them, you can have more like strength, or like with the legs, you can, there's less.
Someone want to.
So as much as technology sometimes frustrates us when mics don't record well, like last week,
right?
Technology is also incredible.
We can blame it on Johnny.
We'll blame it on Johnny. Yeah.
FYI. Yeah, it's insane what it can do. But also, it's like it's kind of scary for what it will look like in like 20 years. There's scary, and then there's like, if you're on the higher end, if you can afford those legs, that could like you could fly with or something like that. I'm sure technology is going to be amazing, you know. And then also there's the kind of cutoff point where it starts to be things that were like insane, you know, 20 years ago are like just now becoming like consumer friendly. So it's like we're also behind the curve being regular people.
Yeah.
But I feel like the people that are, you know, the Elon Musks of the world,
The Tiger Woods of the world.
you get to experience the top of the line, cutting edge, as it's coming out, you know, which I'm sure is a cool thing. But at the same time, like you said, the scary part of it is when it you don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's like you don't know what those legs will do once you plug them in. You know, it's weird to say you're plugging in your legs, but
Yeah, man.
at some point
Just take
people
off
be
running when
plugging
you
in.
don't want them to or something like that.
Yeah, or like what if they cut into you and they start having some infection that
Well, that's like
is deeper.
I think with the older prosthetics, that was like a real thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's but in one, I think I watched a documentary.
Documentary?
This has been going on for like weeks. I can't even.
Was it a documentary? Was it a docuseries?
Documentary? Yeah.
DocuCheck.
Yeah.
They check your documents.
No, it was a documentary on ESPN where a guy, I think he actually cut off. He lost one leg, but I think he actually cut off his other leg so that he could have
That's commitment.
a
Man.
better performance.
That's like
with the prosthetic
no, I think it was
legs.
OCD. He just couldn't stand
I could
to
be
have.
lying.
He couldn't stand to have. he couldn't. he couldn't
The
stand to
pastor
have
and me talking with two youth guys, knowing that at some point this conversation is going south and I'm going to have to apologize and say, Phil, cut the recording. Let's go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So how about that weather outside today? Boy,
yeah.
it's beautiful, isn't it?
Man, it's definitely something.
It makes it less. It makes it less personal when he's just, you know, when Johnny mentions that he watched the documentary. From what we know, it could have been like an animated, like fiction.
True.
You know,
No,
I don't
this
know
is
what
legit.
I don't know
This was on
who
ESPN.
Johnny's talking about.
I'm pretty sure it's ESPN.
I don't know if they're real. That's what I'm trying to say.
He could have dreamed it. We never know with
I
Johnny.
mean, that's very possible as well, but I am almost 100% sure it's ESPN. But I could be wrong. I've been wrong before.
The
We'll be wrong
docu
again.
something on
The
ESPN.
docu something, whatever it's called. Yeah, that thing.
What's the worst job you guys ever had before ministry?
Ooh.
Pastor, did you?
You're the
All I know
champion of this.
is the milk delivery thing. There was more, I'm assuming.
Yeah, way more. I stocked shelves at the third shift for Food Line.
Okay.
I ran a paper out for the Sun News. That was by far my least favorite because it was 7 days a week. Wake up at 2 a.m, go deliver papers to this. You know, I did Rosewood and Cimarron, right there in Socastee. So definitely the worst. Worked at Chick-fil-A for a few years through high school.
Nice.
My very first job was at the flea market selling knives and wallets.
Hey,
So yeah,
Some cool
I've had quite
stuff
a
to
few
sell.
jobs.
Yeah. Johnny, what about you, bro?
I mean, I've worked at AT&T right before here. Debatably the worst job I've had.
AT&T was the worst.
Well, just because of some of the people you have to deal with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the most like physically exertion. Oh,
Good.
what's going on in my
Good
mouth?
words. Good words.
You don't have to exert the most.
You got
energy.
the words and the
the thing,
thing
tap, tap.
physical, like it
Yeah, it
ain't
wasn't
hard.
really that physical of a job, but you really had to deal with the people, and you didn't get them at their best all the time because their phones.
That's
were turned
shocking. Customer service. You didn't get people at their best all
off.
the time.
No, absolutely not. I mean, you're dealing with people's money, and you're dealing with the thing that everybody has in this world: phones.
And you're dealing with all of their memories most of the time.
Yeah, and that's the hard one when someone comes in.
They're
with
like,
that
whoops,
plastic-
I deleted my
that.
all of my photos. Can you find them?
Somebody comes
Yeah.
in with that plastic bag with rice, and you're just like, there's no hope for you. Like your memories.
You
are
better
going down
hope
the
you
drain.
downloaded that to a cloud
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
My phone said I needed that iCloud thing, but I was not paying 99 cents a month for that. And now they're like, can I get that? Is that an option? And I'm like, no, you've got to get a new phone. So that was pretty bad. I was an umpire
Oh,
back in high school, and that was pretty bad too because you would have little kids playing catcher and not catching the ball. And so you're just getting like slammed with fastballs, getting hit everywhere. Like that was pretty bad. And you got their parents.
Physical exertion?
A lot.
A lot of physical exertions.
Yeah. And the parents think they're all stars. So like you're getting yelled at, like in your kids in 5th grade.
Let's talk parenting with kids who think they're all stars in sports.
Oh my gosh.
I bet you have a lot to say on this.
I would love just to hit pause right here and tell every parent who thinks their kid is going to be a professional athlete that they're not.
But all right, so this is something that I've thought about.
Okay,
and I've had conversations. What about the one that is? What are your thoughts on that?
So
I know the chances are like 0.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's
the greatest player I ever saw come through Coastal Carolina soccer. Let's talk soccer.
Yeah.
He was drafted number 8 in the MLS, played a couple years in the MLS, now is over in Sweden playing professionally over there.
Yeah.
I saw how difficult it was for him to make it, and he was the best soccer player Coastal had ever seen.
Yeah.
With so many tools. I mean, that's in soccer, where American soccer isn't the best in the world. You go to baseball, basketball, you know, you go to a beach ball classic and you see some of these guys who are signed at some of these, you know, top schools in the country, and they are incredible.
Right.
And then they get into college and you find out that they're really not that incredible, that high school sports just wasn't that high of quality, you know, and it's really amazing.
Yeah.
And I played with, you know, I wasn't the best player in the world, but I got to see a lot of talent in baseball. And I lived the life of traveling and doing showcases and, you know, doing all these different types of things. And, you know, had a kid get drafted out of high school on our team, had a kid get drafted out of South Carolina. I mean, there are a few different types of situations, and I don't know of anyone that's still playing.
But even still, baseball, they have MLB, AAA, AA, Single A, and other, you know, independent leagues that. So you have a lot more opportunity in baseball. But you know what those guys in AA, AAA make?
Yeah.
Nothing. And then they get out of that process, and that they thought was going to be their retirement. They get out of that process and they're starting over. I was talking with Uchenna yesterday, and you know, he's 28 years old, 29 years old, and now finally hanging up his soccer boots and starting over in a new career at this age in life.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man, listen, have fun with your kid, enjoy their games. My daughter plays golf. One of them plays soccer for the high school, both of them for Sock City High School. Enjoy their games, cheer them on, love it, make sure they're having fun. But at the end of the day, don't bank your retirement on the fact that they're going pros.
Right. Yeah, I think that's like a healthy way to look at a lot of stuff. You know, it's like if you want to shoot for this, and if that's your goal, it's like at some point you have to realize that it's going to take a lot more investment, you know, monetary, physically, everything. It's like there's certain, you know, aspects of how much you really think this is going to go. And I think that's like a big issue, is that a lot of people invest with the mindset of like that, of like this equals pro, instead of just being like this equals the next level. And then that's kind of where we, you know, cut off the investment.
In the Jordan documentary, he talks about a conversation with Dean Smith, and Dean Smith asked him if he wanted to be the best in the gym at the time, or if he wanted to be the best in the world. And Jordan said the best in the world. And he said, well, then because Jordan was saying that he was outworking everybody in the gym. Yeah. And he said, well, then you can't outwork everybody in the gym. You got to outwork everybody in the world.
Yeah.
And so understanding that if your kid's incredible at soccer, because, you know, I love soccer. My girls are my whole family, soccer family. But if your kid's incredible at soccer, that's awesome that they're the best on their team.
Yeah.
But there are thousands and thousands and thousands of teams that are ultimately leading up into, you know, 30 professional teams.
Yeah.
So how do you, as a parent, let's say you are one of these parents that do have let's say they're going to be a professional athlete. Let's say they have the talent to at least make it to an upper level. How do you bring balance to their lives with emotionally, physically, spiritually, specifically spiritually? How would you suggest them doing that?
Yeah, man, great question. I've never met a kid that I thought was going to be able to make it professionally. If I did, I would probably, as a parent, let's say my daughter, and let's say I'm not a pastor and my daughter is, able, getting scholarship calls already. And
Right.
I mean, ultimately my daughter is of the age where Mallory Pugh was playing for the U.S. women's national team a few years ago.
Right.
So obviously my daughter's she understands she's not in that class, right? But let's say my daughter was in that class. I think one of the things that would be vital for me is putting a spiritual base in place that was, I love the church. I think the church is so vital, but I also understand that there are times where you have to miss church for whatever reason. But in those moments, I would still make sure that there was still church happening for her life, for her, situation. I would still make sure she's connected to a small group. I would still make sure she's reading her Bible. I would still make sure.
Yeah.
So all of those spiritual foundations that I'm putting in my kids at the house who aren't going to be professionals. And honestly, again, anybody listening to this, your kid's probably not. Mm-hmm. So that question sounds great, but the truth is, just come back to reality and say, you know what, my kid may play college ball. My kid may play, high school. I tell my kids about playing sports in high school. I want them to play just so that they have another voice in their life, another coach yelling at them, telling them what to do, making sure that they're, a part of a team, understanding how to operate inside of a team. There's a lot of great things that come from sports, but if you're banking your retirement on a kid's,
right.
On a kid's athletic ability, you're probably putting it in the wrong place.
And your kid ends up not being spiritually bankrupt.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
At the end of the day, because
they have no foundation for what a good marriage looks like, no foundation for what a good, spiritual walk with Christ looks like. They have no foundation of money, finances, anything of that nature because they've been out of the loop. Honestly, it's you. You don't know how to use a hammer. You don't know how to use a crowbar. I mean, nothing, because you were so busy playing baseball that basic things that most boys would pick up and know, you were you were playing baseball instead.
Right.
So it's that same concept, except for thankfully your parents poured into you spiritually so that you're able to be strong enough in that area. But the way you're bankrupt in that one area, most of the time spiritually is the area where most kids in that scenario are bankrupt.
Right. Yeah. And I think the amount of sacrifice you have to make in all of the different places, like you look at Jordan, dude had like no friends, you know what I mean? Like you really can't, you sacrifice enough. You're legitimately, if somebody met Jordan straight up, like didn't know he was a basketball like legend, and just was like interacting with him, you think he's like a terrible person.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you look at that, the amount of, things that you have to give up in your life to become that. Even like, there's like the two different aspects of it, right? There's the one, like you are just straight up gifted. And then there's the people where it's like, they are just obsessed. This is everything to them. And both take a lot of sacrifices to apply, both are, when you're that gifted, it comes with a lot of the, self-obsessed and you're just like all about you. And then like you look at the workhorse, it's like you don't have time for literally anything else. You don't have time for friendships. You don't have time for all these other things. So it's like, even if you do think that you are anywhere close to that, it's like you have to weigh out even not even the professional level, but like how much you invest. It's like you have to weigh out, what you're willing to give up. If you want to do this, it's like you're in some cases you're going to be giving up something that's way more valuable than your career in this one field.
And as a parent, I see parents who are trying to live through their children. And I think that's the hurdle.
That's like one of those things where you see abuse that's not really abuse.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where you see a parent like missing out on these different important lessons just so that they can feel some thrill through their kid. That's terrible.
It's true.
And it sucks to see. But
So anyways, that was my timeout moment of the day where I just had to jump on that soapbox and complain a little bit.
Do we want to talk about Mitch real quick?
I've never heard about Mitch.
You've never heard about Mitch?
They talked about Mitch last week on last week's thing, but again, that was I had no context to it. I don't know I don't even know if Mitch is Mitch real?
Mitch is,
we don't know.
Mitch,
We don't know.
he could have been an angel.
Could have been an angel.
Could have been an angel.
Wow.
One of the coolest stories ever here to me.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So Mitch came in.
Again, we don't even know his name's Mitch. Why are you calling him Mitch like that's his name?
Well, we never
explain the fact that we don't know his name and we're calling him Mitch. Johnny is not
John
the
Doe.
greatest storyteller in the world,
John
so I
Doe.
will help
Yeah,
him.
Johnny,
Yeah.
you can't treat it like a dog.
Here we go,
hunt.
guys.
You got to take us
Root
on
me
a
on that
journey.
one. Let's do this.
We're not chasing dogs here, Johnny.
Okay, so at this time I'm the admin pastor, and so when I'm the admin pastor, I'm taking care of every single person that walks through the doors.
What time is it?
Pre-COVID, everybody walked through the doors every day. It was like
this was
All the
recent.
time.
this was sacred season last year.
Sacred season last year.
Yeah.
So January of 2020, right before COVID.
Gotcha.
So I'm sitting here at my desk, and I see this guy walk in, and he comes up to me and he says,
Appears to be homeless.
yeah, appears to be,
Or having a rough time of life.
yeah.
Okay.
And so,
And nobody else is there?
oh no,
Oh, everybody's there.
Oh, everybody's there.
yeah, it's business as usual. And so, basically, I'm in charge with helping with benevolence, like helping people get things that they may need if they're down on their times or whatever. We try to be charitable and help there. Well, this guy was needing some help. He said he needed some help. So I get him the form, and he starts to fill it out. But the weird thing is, as he's filling his form out, Joker is just like walking all over the place. He's like doing like acting like he's trying to find something. Goes to the bathroom like
Yeah,
5 or 10
and Johnny
times.
and the great administrator that he was at the time just left him alone. They gave him a form and walked away from him and went back to his desk to where this guy's wandering around the office areas.
Yeah, because I just trusted him that much.
And you're sitting there for me, I'm sitting there working, and random what seems to be homeless dude sticks his head in and says, "Whoops, sorry, I didn't know you were in here." Like, what's that mean? I didn't know you were in here,
So I am.
So what's going through your mind? Are you just not?
Nothing
You're
literally
oblivious
is
to
going
it.
through my mind. Like I'm used to people coming in. I'm used to them filling out a form. And so all of a
So
sudden,
he fills out the form. He leaves.
well, this
didn't
is
write
the
his
tricky
name.
part. This is the sketchy part.
He didn't write his
That's
name.
all
The reason
mysterious.
we don't know his name is because he took the benevolence form back.
Took it with him.
He took it with him
Yeah.
and said, "I'll bring it back."
Left the church.
And we never heard from him again.
Oh, we did.
We did hear
you
from him again.
Yeah.
So
Comes back in.
So the next day,
There's a part two.
I've been getting
Part 2.
to church early, and I get there, and
No.
no. I missed this. Is where I missed the part.
So
Yeah.
later that day, so the first one was the morning. Later that day, I'm in my office where I'm at. I can't see the front door open, the door to the office building open. So I hear it open and didn't hear anything. Nobody came back. Johnny wasn't in his office. So I peek my head around the corner and nobody's there. I was like, that's weird. So I walked down the hallway towards the front door, and there's Mitch in our kitchen.
Wow.
Thought, man, homeless guy, he's hungry. I said, hey, man, can I help you? Can I get you something? You hungry? Yeah. So I, got him a drink, got him a snack, whatever. Gave him some food, went out the door. I go back to my office, hear him come in again. Poke my head around the door. He's standing at the front door, and he says, can I use the restroom? And I said, sure. So I go back in my office.
And I don't know any of this stuff.
Let him use the restroom. Took a little longer than I expected. I thought maybe he had to do number 2.
Right.
And he left. So from that point, we're laughing about this guy that we don't know who wanted benevolence, now took his benevolence form back with him, and came back. And instead of where we would have given him some form of benevolence, instead wanted a drink and a cracker out of the fridge.
Yeah.
So we thought that was hilarious. We laughed about it. And then somebody said,
Maddie, I think Maddie or Miss Pam or
someone came
looking
into
for the
the
laptop.
front office where where none of us can see from our offices. There's just a random office in the very front, and finds out that the computer is missing. So homeless
Mitch.
What seemed to be homeless guy Mitch.
Mitch now. We call him Mitch now.
Yeah, what seemed to be homeless guy Mitch in the middle of sacred season steals our computer, and we tried not to blame it on Mitch. We tried to say maybe somebody took it. Maybe it was, borrowed here. Maybe it's in kids ministry. Maybe it's here. Maybe it's there. So we tried our best not to blame it on Mitch, but ultimately got back to the fact that it was Mitch.
Mitch stole our 2001 HP laptop.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a good one at all. It was really bad.
Yeah, it was pretty busted. And so,
but Mitch chose that laptop.
Mitch chose that.
He scoped it out.
He got a lot of different things.
That sucker's mine.
That's what he wanted. So
the next morning, Johnny comes to work.
Yeah, I'm coming to work, and I park, and then I see this black square on the porch, and I'm like, what in the world is that? So I get my stuff, get out, and I get closer and closer, and I'm like, is that the laptop? And I get
he brought it back?
He brought it back.
Out. So he
with a note written on a piece of cardboard.
He probably got out of our trash can
that said, I'm sorry.
God bless.
God bless.
And bro,
I didn't know.
Mitch,
I didn't know it could get better.
You didn't know the story was going there.
I never heard this story, and I'm so glad.
So I don't know if he was convicted or that he figured out he was only going to get like $25 and it wasn't worth going to jail for.
Yeah, we've laughed really hard at that fact that we don't know if he was just convicted from stealing it.
The first one sounds.
Or if he tried to open the laptop and saw how long that it took to boot up.
The first one will preach.
Yeah. And honestly,
he tried to steal.
When I got it back, I think I talked to you about this. I was like, man, I almost got taught a lesson like that day of like the people like who you are encountering, who you're, like who are coming in, like conversations with, God's trying to do something in their life. So as funny as it is and how horrible of a job I handled that situation. I mean, and as funny as it is, there was the
real question is, have you learned, or does Mitch come in another time and you let him scope out his next target?
I haven't seen Mitch since then. Mitch was an angel.
What happens when Mitch comes back in?
When Mitch
you better
comes back
Hawkeye him, like follow him around like a hawk.
I'm gonna ask him. I'm gonna bring the laptop back to him. Like, did you forget this? No, but like,
no, you should get the answer. Why did you bring it back?
Why did you bring it back?
Yeah, we'll bring that to the next week's podcast.
Was it just because we think Mitch was an angel?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going with. Like, I believe, like in one of those old TBN movies, like that's what it was. He just transformed into this homeless guy and stole our laptop and brought it back to teach us a lesson.
Those are the weirdest ones. Why in those movies do they make the homeless guy like God?
I don't know.
Pulls on those heartstrings a little bit.
Somebody watching this podcast will be able to tell us, but me in the moment, I'm not sure.
I get it, like kind of the the lamb, the most probably vulnerable thing that you can think of. But sometimes it's like, why don't you make it somebody like really cool? Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman
was a homeless man, and what was it? Bruce Almighty.
Yeah.
So I mean, they did a pretty good job there with that one, I'd say.
Yeah.
But Mitch is a
legend.
A legend. I will never forget.
You know those legend T-shirts?
Yeah. Mitch should be on.
We need to make one with Mitch's face.
What does he even look like? Could you sketch him out?
So like
Johnny, he looks like Johnny.
Johnny, maybe this is your long lost twin brother
that
came back and pranked you.
Guy with like a stubble on his face, dirty, with long light brown hair, with a dirty
hat. Described 90% of what you just talked about. Homeless people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it was. So
that's exactly what it was.
Yeah. So I know what he looks like. If I saw him, cool. I would be able to recognize Mitch. I'd want to get his real name.
Is that the craziest ministry story, or do you have one that comes to mind that's crazier than that?
Man, I got a ton of crazy ministry stories. In what vein? Like, point me in a vein.
Altar call.
Come on,
man.
Come on.
We're Pentecostal, bro.
Craziest to me, and honestly, best, awesome, not best, but just an incredible Real life story. I got done praying with a guy, and he said, "Mother effer, that was the best D prayer I ever heard anybody pray."
Wow.
And I said, "Praise the Lord."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty
That's
crazy.
such a mixed feeling there.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I was like, he called me a mother effer, but he told me that prayer was really good. So I don't know whether to be, I don't know. I don't know how to react.
I don't
But I
know
just
how to
said, praise
react.
God.
If you gave me 20 years to think about how to react, I don't think I could come up with a
So
reaction.
I just went with praise God.
Yeah. Wow. My first one that immediately shoots to my head is PD Camp 2017-18. Mini week, kids just taking naps at the altar. That's the first thing I think of when I think of an altar is small kids just sleeping.
They will.
Yeah.
They are exhausted. They go down and lay before the Lord
They're not-
and just
they're
fall
not slain
asleep
in the
there.
spirit.
I love
They're
it.
just sleeping.
Just got to rub their back, wake them up. Hey,
Yeah.
buddy, come
Hey,
on.
man.
Come on back to your seat now.
It's my favorite. Johnny, I'm sure you got one in there.
I don't want mine to sound bad. I've got some funny altar call stories. Crazy altar call stories.
Why do your legs look so white on the video?
I don't know. Hopefully
You live in Myrtle Beach. Go get a tan,
it's
bro.
the middle. It was like winter.
Phil's Brazilian. I've got Indian in me. So both of us,
I'm
he
straight
looks
up
brown, I look red, and you look straight up white
I don't
on
know
the
Yeah, what's
video.
up?
It is.
I
Now
even
I'm
got
so
the white
self-conscious.
balance on there to warm.
Don't say that.
You're still, your
It's
legs
that
look
white light
blue.
over there.
I feel like, I was like, why is there a bright light shining from the middle of the video over there? It's your legs, Johnny.
Maybe it's like I'm not getting good circulation or something.
I'm not doing, I'm
Johnny,
trying
don't
to
blame it on your
Yeah.
circulation.
Well, we don't get to wear shorts at the office except on Thursdays. So maybe
Is that a thing?
Maybe I can get a
Oh, wow.
a form to fill out that says I can wear shorts more, so I can get a tan, so my boss will not make fun of me anymore.
Nah, I don't see that happening.
Okay, so altar call. I would say I remember. Can I go funny altar call?
Sure.
Or do I have to go serious altar call?
This podcast's going to be over before you give us an altar call story.
That's
A
right.
funny one. A funny one for me was the service was over at Malden camp, the service, we were just going into our preaching, and we were all up there in the front in worship, and this kid, I had my eyes closed and I was kind of just praying or whatever, and I just keep hearing this noise to my left, and I'm just like, what is that over there? It almost sounded like a bird flapping its wings and it like hit a tree or something. Like, I don't know. It's like a big commotion kind of thing.
Big combustion.
Commotion, whatever. Well, I open my eyes and there's a kid over there, and like everybody's just staring at him. He looks like he's doing like one of those. Who is the 80s guy who does the workout film? The Richard
Simmons?
Simmons. He was doing like Richard Simmons over there, like it was like I can't even describe it. It was the most probably awkward thing that I've ever been a part of. But I was so young, I didn't know what to even do. This might be one of those spiritual order things or whatever. But I honestly, as a young believer in ministry, I had no idea how to handle that situation.
So he was just kind of dancing before the Lord like David.
Yes, in a very aggressive way.
Well, I will say, in case he's watching this right now, I'm totally okay with people dancing before the Lord. I think it's definitely biblical, definitely scriptural. Obviously, order, with it, but understand that probably the reason it was so strange to you was because you were so young. I don't want anybody to listen to this and think that we are against people dancing before the Lord. I'd be in my prayer closet dancing before the Lord all the time.
I'll be
I can't
honest.
really dance,
I
so I don't
wish
know if
we
I could.
had more of that.
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be cool.
Yeah.
I do think that there are a lot of aspects of like different avenues like that spiritually that if you're young, that's
I had
you don't
no
know what
clue.
to do. You really don't know what to do.
Yeah.
No clue what to do.
Maddie's first service ever visiting with me to church. We were in high school. I thought she was cute. Asked her, of course, she's got to go to church with me for me to be able to take her out, right? And so
It's such an interesting conversation. Keep going.
okay.
I want to know this.
So, very first service, guys taking up offering. John Williams, if you're listening, taking up offering, throws down the microphone, takes off running around the church. My wife looks at me, eyes wide, says, "I'll see you in the car." She wasn't my wife then. Our first real date.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. What are your so there's layers. So what is your first? So that was the first time that you ever brought Maddie to church, and that was. Did you have a first? Well, Chrissy was already going to church.
Chrissy's COG to the bone.
Yeah.
Like,
So you guys probably just were like,
oh, this is normal.
It's just a normal day.
Oh yeah. I never. The girls that I always
Even still today, Maddie thinks it's not normal. It just
there was never a time where I really brought a girl to church who I thought couldn't handle it because I was just so scared that they would get freaked out, and I was still trying to stay dating them. So I was just like,
I mean, Isabella's new to this,
Yeah.
and she dove in like head first.
Yeah, I was gonna say the first time. Do you remember the first time that I brought her? So the first time that I brought her, me and her were just talking. I just talked to Johnny about this last night. The first time that I brought her, me and her were just talking, and you called her out as my girlfriend. We had maybe been talking
Sounds
for
like me.
We've been talking for like maybe a couple weeks. And she comes in and you say, Phil brought his girlfriend, something along those lines. And then at the end of that service, you had me and my mom pray for the youth. Remember that?
Yeah.
And it's such a weird conversation afterwards.
Praise God, man.
Yeah, praise God. But
praise God.
It makes me think, I think that because that was another thing is we were talking about we do a dating class here that we just started doing recently, and last night you guys talked about whether or not they should know Jesus before they date or something
unequally yoked. Yeah, that
unequally yoked.
So I'll give you a guess on who asked that question, but it was Amy Freeman. And so they asked me.
Well,
I don't know what that meant.
Me either, and you're live, and everybody's watching it. What did you mean by that?
That's churchyism.
Oh,
like
okay.
that's. I mean, she grew up
she's
in
a church girl, and okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so
she's the one in the room that like knows.
Knew that scripture and was asking about it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So she pinned me with that question, and she said, what do you think about that? And so I went into.
My guess was going to be Caleb or that was my guess.
I was gonna say Kent.
Kent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would love to hear your actual opinion on that.
Yeah, because we talked about this last night. I was told Caleb brought up you and Maddie. I brought up me and Isabella. We weren't equally yoked. So those are like two instances of, obviously I'm not married with children, but I'd say we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, I think there's maybe a line that I wouldn't cross being unequally yoked. I wouldn't get engaged. I wouldn't get married, things of that nature. Would I ask a girl out and go on a date with her? Sure. I think that's a weird line that probably, if a kid who doesn't know Jesus asks Carson out, my response is, yeah, for sure, bring him to church with you.
Yeah. That was where we talked about last night. The way that I've always thought about it is I'll talk to them. I'll probably take them on a couple dates. But before I ask to be, you don't have to be, on a path of righteousness, but I definitely you have to have some kind of, you're coming to church with me and you want to do this thing,
Absolutely.
You want to get to know Jesus and so that was kind of like the first thing that first entrance into Isabella getting plugged in, because she had gone to church before, but she grew up, Catholic and didn't really have much investment in it and didn't really, it was just an experience thing as opposed to like a lifestyle thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, before I made her my girlfriend though, it was, you have to be plugged in. You have to be wanting to do this.
Yeah. I think that would be my answer to my kids. If my kids ask me, my answer would be, there's a difference in hanging out with a group of friends and y'all going on a group date together and someone who is truly trying to win your heart.
Right.
Yeah.
If somebody's trying to win your heart and they don't know Jesus, their heart isn't in the right place to win your heart. So ultimately that would be unhealthy.
Yeah.
It's good. You want to teach my dating class for me?
I got 2 kids in there. I don't think they want me in there. They hear me talk about dating all the time to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. How often is that conversation?
Every single
really?
day.
Really? Okay.
In some form or fashion.
Yeah.
I grab their mom's butt and, tell her how gorgeous she is and kiss on her, and they're, gross. And immediately I use that opportunity to tell them, some way. I use it to, to take us into a conversation.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I mean, I appreciate, the stance you take on, wanting to use your life as a teaching moment for your kids. For me, I know we joke about it a lot, but then as I'm 26. I don't have it all together, but I know there's times now where I'll do something, like I'll say something to my wife, the way I answer the phone, and you're like, "At a kid," like one of those things. So it's definitely infectious, the way that the way you live your life and the way you display it for the people around you, not just your kids, but for people who are learning from you in different facets. So I appreciate that.
We're doing a marriage retreat this week, a marriage conference this weekend. And one of the things that I'm going to end the marriage conference on is the fact that it's amazing how when you and Isabella first started dating, how you, let's say call her or text her or come see her or bring her flowers or whatever the wooing process was to win her heart, right?
Right.
And then you get to a place to where you feel like you've got her heart, so there's no reason to continue pursuing her and continue wooing her.
Yeah.
And we do that in marriage sometimes. And now I'm 17 years into marriage, and it took me a few years into marriage to understand that I still have to pursue her. I still have to woo her.
Yeah.
I still have to win her love every single day. Not because I'm afraid she's going to give it away to somebody else, but because I want her to know that I'm still that into her.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I would have had that growing up, but I won't say that I have bad habits, because I don't think I do. But I've had to learn on like the other end of the spectrum, which is learning from things that I don't want my relationships to look like, which oftentimes though put me in a situation where I would look at people like you in my life, be like, yeah, I really want something like that, So, I mean, I'm in the same boat as Johnny. I'm super grateful for being able to see all that played out in front of me. But
Maddie and I don't have it all together, and we have a lot of stuff we still have to figure out. But I tell you, man, if you can get to the place to where you truly pursue each other, serve each other, serve the Lord together, a lot of that other stuff that clouds marriages sometimes, will kind of wash away.
Yeah. Yeah. I went into it with a lot of my relationship being with a lot of those kind of core, like if you can do this, this, and this, then everything else is going to be a lot easier. Like communication for one of those things. Like for me, communication outside of relationships and like everything else, communication is just big. So going into that, it's like with her, us being long distant recently, that was one of those things that I'm super grateful that was a thing going into our relationship, and that wasn't something that we had to establish last minute, because I think that's kind of where a lot of relationships break when they go long distances. You never really had to communicate efficiently, and then now you have to figure out how to, and if you don't, then you end up just separating.
Absolutely.
But did you guys have to do long distance ever before marriage? You did? Yeah.
Yours is more extreme than mine, but
I was 8 hours in Cleveland, Tennessee, and would drive home every single weekend to see her.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's rough.
Would leave school Friday after school, drive home through the night Friday, spend all day Saturday with her, Sunday morning, go to church together, and then leave as late Sunday afternoon as I could to get back in time to go to bed, to wake up on Monday and go to class.
Yeah, mine was...
Was yours that bad?
No, mine was, she was already in Clemson doing her teaching thing, and I was at North Greenville.
Go Gamecocks.
As a student. Yeah, there you go. And
plug go Celtics, go Patriots. I don't watch hockey, but go Bruins.
Okay, and NASCAR driver you like.
Go Brazilian soccer team.
Yeah. But I lived an hour and 15 minutes away from Christy, from where I was going to school, and so every just like you, every Friday I would get done with school and I would drive up to see Christy, and we would spend the weekend together. And
even when you were married, and you moved here.
Oh wow! Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, let's not forget when I got
when
because you were here 6 months. No, less than that. 3 months.
Yeah, the process was maybe that long, but in April I moved down here to Myrtle Beach.
So April, May, June. So
she
3
was
months.
still in Clemson, Seneca.
And then as soon as she got here, she went straight to youth camps and
so we didn't
mission trips. And so
it felt like 6 months, like it honestly was a 6 month process, but
it was rough
where we could settle down.
You guys are making me look terrible though, because Isabella's like 3 hours away and I see her like maybe once a month. So you drove every weekend,
every single
8
weekend,
hours,
8 hours, one way.
But mine wasn't that bad, so cut the whatever. But
yeah, that's a commitment.
there were times where
that's not even like a normal.
Wasn't normal. No, at all.
Wow. What got into you? Just
she kissed good,
feeling the love,
I guess.
The love bug.
Yeah, got bit by that love bug.
Dang, that's an 8 hour drive love bug.
And honestly, I mean,
symptoms.
I guess it's the difference in being 18 and 24. 26, whatever you were when you moved here. I think it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
I didn't have life. I didn't have obligations, things of that nature. It was pick up, drive, go back.
Yeah. Do you what kind of hobby you guys are into right now? It's kind of a weird one, right? I'm always curious about this with a pastor or something, like we talked about ministry, how much of it's involved. In jobs that people, I talk about this in small groups sometimes with people that, all I hear about is their job. It's like, what do you do in your free time though? Do you like to read? What do you do?
I mean, I don't mean this in any weird way, but I really don't have much free time between ministry, kids, and their extracurricular activities. Trying to add anything to it is oftentimes difficult. So I really do enjoy projects. That way I can start them and finish them. We've been working on the conference room table and, stripping it and, sanding it and, restaining it and trying to get it. Those sorts of things are things that I really enjoy. We got chickens around the house. I really enjoy, just messing around with them, messing around in the yard, stuff of that nature. But it's not really hey, every Friday I do this type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a consistent hobby. I would say I have activities that I have opportunities that I get to do occasionally. So if it's, hunting or, fishing, playing softball. I don't play softball every weekend like I used to, but when I get the opportunity,
you got a bunch of hobbies.
Yeah. I got a bunch of things.
I got a bunch.
So I have a bunch of things I do, but I'm not really great at any of them.
Nintendo.
Yeah, video games. I'm super. What's the word? I'm very on off. I either play something or I do something or I'm into it, and then I'll go for a period of time, 3 months where I just never touch it, and then I come back to it for a month, which kind of sucks, but. That's kind of where I'm at. There's a lot of times where I'll be into a book or I'll be into a game and I'll play it or read it or watch something a bunch, and then I just never get back to it for 6 months.
Hunting season, I was super into hunting. I loved it. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Whenever we did the golf league here at the church, loved that. That was so much fun. Able to do that with my wife.
Your marriage.
Yeah, it was awesome. Things like that. You have hobbies for the moment, but long term, I don't think I have any.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be the same way. I mean, hunting season, when we get into it, I'll try to go a couple times.
You went every day, it felt like.
But I didn't see anything, so I mean.
So you were really just going to.
And that's the part of it. You don't get to put a lot of time into it, so you just go and do what you can.
But you can't say that you didn't do it just because you were.
But I didn't.
If I lose every game that I play, I can't say that I didn't play.
True.
Yeah.
Just because you didn't shoot anything doesn't mean you weren't hunting it.
Yeah, right. But I want to shoot something, I know people are like, it's not about, they don't call it killing, they call it hunting. And I'm like, no, but I still want to shoot something.
Yeah, I had deer burgers last night and the kids ate it and they...
Are you the one that doesn't tell them? Or they all
They knew. And so it was hey, this one's ground beef. This one's ground venison.
Right.
You'll love it. It tastes the same.
Mm.
So I got all of them to try it once, and everybody said couldn't even tell the difference.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. That was, I mean, I don't have a strong preference with deer. No, I don't really, I'm not a huge, you asked me if I wanted jerky the other day. I don't like jerky. I don't like deer jerky much. I'll eat like some teriyaki beef jerky every now and then. Like if I'm on a road trip and I have nothing else to eat, but I'm not a huge jerky guy. I'm not a huge, they do deer sausage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a huge sausage guy. But in terms of like the actual
Sausage in general?
nah,
Really?
I'm not huge on sausage. I'm indifferent, but I was about to ask what do you guys think about sausage? What are your thoughts on sausage?
I love it, man.
like
Especially patties, like
I'm not a huge sausage guy.
Yeah,
patties well done. They are awesome.
they're good.
Yeah.
Brad Westover brought me some hot sausage from Pennsylvania somewhere. The Amish people like made it themselves, and it's really good.
So
Delicious.
I heard something about you that I wanted to ask.
Uh-oh.
And we got to break it down. I've heard that you like your steak. How do you like your steak?
Medium well to well done.
I've heard well done. That was
Hamburger patty, I want it well done.
Amber, I agree.
I want it
I
hockey
agree.
puck.
I
I
agree
want
with-
it charcoal. I want to, that's what I want from a hamburger. A
But
steak,
steak.
I don't want to see pink. Just a nice gray all the way through, brown, whatever color that is.
You have
I'm rare. I'm medium rare.
yeah,
I could eat it.
I want to hear it moo.
Yeah, my wife loves it, medium rare. My kids, I've kind of turned them into medium well type kids.
Medium
I have no desire. Man, my whole family's a medium rare type group of people.
There's like a strong community of people that are against well done.
100%. And you know what's strange? Like Pedro, who was from Brazil, cooked a steak one night whenever he was here, and Maddie's like, "How are you cooking it?" And he was like, in a pan, and she was like, "No, I mean like you cooking it like what temperature?" And
Right.
he was like, "Done." And so everything was well done.
Yeah.
And to him, that was how you cook it, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, yeah, it makes sense to me. It's delicious.
Right.
Let's go.
Yeah. I've never gotten behind that. Oftentimes I'll eat it, of course, but yeah, I'm a huge medium rare. I want to see it. I want to see the blood.
I did do well done for the first time last Sunday in my life.
Well done.
Well done, and I did it for that chop steak that they have out
It's
there
hamburger.
at Logan's or whatever.
Yeah.
I did that,
Yeah.
but that I can't see myself. I mean, if you serve it to me, I'll do it, but I'm not gonna just ask for.
Yeah, we cook steaks on the grill at the house, and Maddie's is 6 minutes and it's done. Mine's like, okay, once hers is off, turn the heat wide open and burn that sucker.
Mm.
Oh my gosh.
Dang. You don't feel like it loses anything?
I don't. I struggle eating medium rare where everybody's like, oh my gosh, it's so soft and just melts in your mouth. To me, that's gross. It makes me want to vomit.
Right.
It makes me feel like,
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't feel like I'm eating meat.
Yeah.
I want to gnaw on it.
Yeah. So you are a huge jerky guy then?
Yeah, love jerky.
Yeah.
Love it.
Interesting. And you're kind of in between the whole thing.
No, I'm down for whatever. I'm a carnivore.
Carnivore.
Yeah.
Well, we've been at this for a good bit. We can close out with where are you guys at? What's your season right now? Where are you at spiritually? How you feeling? How you feel? We just came out of we're going into Easter soon. Came out of sacred season a few weeks ago. We're kind of in a transitional spot, I would say. Where are you guys at?
Feel so good spiritually, man. Prayer Monday night was so phenomenal. It felt like we were getting ready to step into a moment that I've prayed for my entire ministry.
Yeah.
There had to be some teaching at the end, and I think it was very helpful to be able to do that teaching at the end. But I just feel like the last 3-4 services from sacred season all the way through now has just been very very powerful. The Spirit of God has just been thick in the room. And honestly, for someone that encourages me, encourages my spirit, knowing that God is working there.
Right.
So it always, when the church seems dry, it always makes you question what's happening inside of you.
Yeah.
When the church seems like it's thriving, it makes you encouraged, even, if you're not in a season of, full, overflow, it encourages you. So that's where I'm at. I'm very encouraged about what God's doing here, very encouraged about what he's doing in my family, in my life. And, personally, I'm in a strong, healthy place. And I can't, honestly, beginning of the year, I wasn't there, but I really am right now.
Yeah. Johnny, where you at, man?
We just got out of sacred season, so I'm feeling myself challenged, especially as the church's trajectory is going up. I can feel that. I mean, even last night in a youth group, it was just one of those things where I just felt like, we're feeling it as a youth group that the church is shifting, and so we're having to make changes as well that are going to help us be able to last with what God's trying to do in the whole church. And so that's challenging me personally as an individual with my daily walk. And am I listening to God? What am I putting in my life, and spiritually? How much am I taking time to just get filled with the Word and different things like that? So I'm challenging myself to go deeper spiritually. I'm not where I want to be, and I'm not complacent there yet. I'm not close at all, but I know that I'm in a good place. I'm surrounded by good people. I have great people in my life, great leaders and people who serve with me. And I got a great pastor, of course, who's challenged me every day and won't let me be okay with where I'm at. So I'm looking forward to seeing where God takes me in the next 6 months.
Yeah. I would say I'm like legit in the most healthy spiritual place that I've ever been at. And I'm also like super excited. When you're ready. Well, obviously none of us would know this feeling, but if you would think of a fighter about to get in the ring and he's not anxious about the moment, he's just kind of ready to throw hands. Yeah. That's where I feel like I'm at. I feel like I'm like when you've been saying over and over again that this church is about to like blow up, or this ministry is about to get to a place that God has something so cool for it and we have no clue what's about to happen. I feel like that in my life. Like I feel like I have no clue what's about to take place. I don't know where I'm going, but it's gonna be good, and I'm ready, and I'm excited, and almost where I don't have deep thoughts about it. I just feel like I'm ready for it. I just feel like I'm ready for whatever it holds.
I feel the exact same way.
Yeah,
just like you said about the fighter. I feel that exact same way.
Yeah, it's like a resolve of like this
I'm not
is
anxious.
Just what has to happen.
I'm not nervous. Let's go. Let's throw hands. We got to do it.
Yeah.
What's throw hands mean?
Johnny, you know it.
Come on, man.
If you throw it, boom, what's happening there?
Just kidding.
What was it? Physical exertions?
There was a lot of
exertions.
There was a lot
Physical
of
exertions.
There's a lot of them.
So part of that is stuff like this podcast. I feel like this is a cool thing to be able to do with you guys, and I'm looking forward to what it looks like and what it looks like going forward and how it develops. But overall, in general, just being a part of what's happening here is awesome.
Amen.
And I love to be able to do it with you guys, and I love that we can share this with anybody that's watching, listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for checking us out. We'll be at it next week. See ya.